You know what I
on
was
my
just gonna
puppy at
ask
the
you? Why
time.
don't you have a Michael Myers costume?
I don't have a Michael Myers costume. I don't know if I have that much Michael stuff.
No?
I have the Dr. Loomis Michael Myers NECA
The
figures.
figures, yeah, those are sweet.
Michael? What? You aren't supposed to talk!
Did you see anybody dressed up when you went to go see the film?
No,
No, me
no,
either.
because I went
I wanted
I went
to.
in the afternoon, and
Same. I went early.
so that's what we're gonna have to talk about here. You finally saw Halloween, so you followed through on that.
I did. That's a challenge that I was able to come through on, and man, it was
What are we going here? On three. One, two, three.
thumbs up,
Yeah, I agree.
way up.
I,
I
I
was like, I liked it a lot. I thought the smartest thing they could have done is get rid of the whole brother sister scenario stuff, and they did a great job of letting the audience know why that was just made up. I really liked how they picked it up. You had the three different generations, of the girls there, and I just man, like I thought, and I'm gonna spoil it right now because I don't give a crap.
dude, it's been out 3 weeks. See it
I
at this
know.
point, people.
Yeah. I just thought the ending was super, super cool in how it turns out that safe room was a trap the whole time.
Right.
And how they just make eye contact while they torch him.
And I saw a lot
Unbelievable.
of people. I saw a lot of people commenting on how cool it was that it was spooky that he just stared as he was
Yeah,
being
he
burned
just stood
alive.
there. He didn't care.
So I thought, see, I'm so conditioned by the other horror movies that when he got trapped and burned alive, and then it ended, and I was like, okay, I mean, that makes sense, and it's sort of back to basics. I almost felt like I'm so conditioned that something else should have happened there.
Well, did you stay until the end of the credits?
Yes, like a nerd, I stood there, and it was just
Same.
breathing.
It was just breathing, yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that's a letdown.
and I did that thing on my phone where I'm like, is there post credits?
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, there's a scene that keeps it open for a sequel. And it just said there was a scene. And then I just heard breathing, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
But it's still kind of cool, as much as it's a letdown in the end. But overall, the movie was awesome. I just like, I really enjoyed it. Like it had so much grit to it. It was badass, and it was eerie all at the same time. It kind of gave you it kind of hit you in every different, every different category you would want a horror movie to do, right?
I thought I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was really good. I thought the daughters were really good, and I thought they
Yeah.
were pretty well rounded. And I thought what made this better than the Rob Zombie ones is that they made most of the kids likable enough that
Yeah.
you're not like rooting for them to get killed, which some people say that they makes a good horror movie, but I thought like Rob Zombie ones, you're like, all these people are assholes. I don't even
Yeah.
care if they get killed, and even Laurie was an ass in that one.
The only one that I wanted to die
Except for Nerd Kid, right?
was the fat kid, right?
Yes, the friend
Yeah.
zone kid.
Yep. And all of a sudden, I was like, dude, end him right now.
He was a weird looking dude.
Yeah,
Like,
he was.
They were all like these like weird gangly stoner looking kids, but they weren't
Yeah.
like stereotype stoner kids. They were just like awkward, and they actually looked like
Yeah.
kids as opposed to like the old Halloweens where all the teenagers look like 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
But I was making a mental note in my head. They say that it's just directly follows up from part one. But if you made a sequel and you changed a couple lines and then you redirected, you could reattach all the other sequels again. Like,
Really?
I didn't think there were too many lines that totally disqualified it. Like the part where they say, "Oh, I thought it was his brother." Nah, that was just something that they said.
Yeah. Made
Who's
up.
who's to say that they couldn't redirect that again and say no, that actually was true, and they had to hide
Gotcha.
that part, or
Yeah.
or
Huh.
that she had a daughter in this one, which would ignore that in H2O she had a son, but not 4 and 5. Jamie was her daughter that she gave up,
Dude, she was so good.
and I was just like, if she was that messed up in this movie and living
Yeah.
this wild like life where she kept divorcing people, easily. I mean, it'd be a wild stretch, but then again, this is a movie about an undead killer, so who's evil
Dude.
itself.
You put a lot of thought into that. That's crazy. Like, I didn't even think about that. I'm just gonna accept this for what it is. And yeah, it was awesome.
You were saying the best part is taking out the brother sisters, but I always liked the Thorn Curse, and 4 is my favorite Halloween. So
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, and I also like Dr. Loomis is the best part of the original. So I was missing him. Like I missed him in
Yeah.
H2O and Resurrection.
Yeah.
But I did like the podcast characters. I wish they would have stayed longer.
Yeah, they were cool, and I was gonna ask you about those podcast characters when they were playing the audio. Was that actual Loomis' voice?
Yes, that was actual Loomis' voice. I thought you were going to ask me why they didn't have headphones on, and they were doing dialect straight from the car with no.
Well, they just had their H5 there with them, and they're just talking out loud.
Yeah, the star of the movie was their handy recorder.
Yeah.
But I liked that guy. I thought like, oh, this could be
liked
like
the girl, too.
like a British Loomis and like the girl
Yeah.
team, and then when they died, I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Because
they went too fast.
Like I was thinking, you remember in Scream 2 when Dewey gets killed, but he actually shows up at the very end and he's like being wheeled out.
Yeah.
And he's able to survive because he was so popular they didn't want to kill him off.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that with the podcasters.
I can't believe you're alive. Are you okay? You hang in there.
What do you think? It's polarizing opinions. What do you think of the black kid that was being babysit? I thought he was like a little JB Smoove.
Dude, he was so funny. I just kept thinking it was going to be like, ooh, kill him. Ooh. Like he was the Terrio kid. He was hilarious, dude. That was a funny kid. One of the things that stands out to me the most is when they were getting away in the back of that truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
You show, grandma, mother, granddaughter, and then the camera comes down to the knife in the granddaughter's hand. And it was almost like, to me, in my mind, and tell me if I'm being just crazy here, but it was like that was the passing of the franchise torch to her.
Possibly. I mean, they did that with Jamie putting on the Myers mask at the end of 4, and then they
Yeah.
ignored it for 5, and she was just a silent kid. Then the other one. Now, what did you think of some of the deaths being off screen? I thought people made it seem like it was a style choice, and I could see that because like it was sort of almost such a straightforward Jamie. I'm so into Halloween 4 between and plus I'm thinking Jamie Lee Curtis, but Laurie versus Michael. Like they almost just straight focused on that, and it didn't veer off to the parts where he kills teenagers. Like it almost seemed like secondary at points. Where it was just like, kid's dead, and you're like, wait a minute, he just like heard a noise, and now 4 minutes later, I'm seeing his head in the closet or something.
I thought it was cool for me. Because it kind of forces you to use your imagination into how he exactly did it. Now, and I think it was more, compelling to see the reveal like after the kill. Like I thought that was the coolest part.
Do you think they filmed those scenes and then when they made the edit took them out, or it was always designed?
I bet it was always made that way. I think that's, whoever was in charge, and, again, I couldn't tell you the director or the grip or the guy that was holding the lights. But, yeah, I don't know. I assume that was their idea probably the whole time.
Well, the guy who did the original Halloween, the producer, he was the reason this took forever to make and that they had to go to the Rob Zombie ones was because he was killed by terrorists.
Wow.
Yeah, him and his daughter were blown up over in a Jordan terrorist attack.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah. So I think this movie was dedicated to him, and I know that the Rob Zombie ones were.
Yeah.
But Rob Zombie's a better concert than he is than he is a Halloween
Right.
maker.
I mean, I really enjoyed it, and obviously that was the latest sequel of a horror movie classic.